Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Granatstein, Adweek's Chief Content Officer. So glad you could join us for another episode of the most powerful woman in sports, where the world's greatest marketers, media pros, athletes, and coaches share their remarkable career journeys and how they achieve peak performance. We'd also like to hear from you, so join the conversation in the chat and questions in the Q&A box. Today, we'll be speaking with the legendary Cynthia Cynt Marshall, CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. Cynt's life journey is an incredible one, having overcome poverty and domestic abuse to achieve greatness as a leader and mentor. We'll hear from Cynt on her guiding principles for leadership and racial equality. But first, a little background on Cynt. When Cynt was hired to lead the Mavs in 2018, she made history as the first Black female CEO in the NBA. Cynt quickly set her sights on cultural transformation. Her vision was for the Mavs to become the NBA standard for inclusion and diversity, and to bring transparency, trust, and a values-based culture to the team. Prior to joining the NBA, Cynt had worked at AT&T for 36 years, becoming its top chief diversity officer. I am blown away by these accomplishments. And it's truly an honor to have Cynt here today. And I'd love to welcome Cynt to the show. Cynt. Thanks for joining us.
Can you see me? I am here.
Yes. I can see you. Yes, you are here.
Lisa, it's so good to see you, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks again for being here. We're so excited. I want to start at the beginning. I want to start where you grew up, and we're going to get very Barbara Walters, just, where you grew up and who shaped the person you are today.
Okay. I can answer that. Okay. So I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. My parents left Birmingham, Alabama when I was a baby because they made a decision. They didn't want their 4 kids at the time growing up in the Jim Crow segregated South. I mean, there are 6 of us now. And so we moved to a housing project in Richmond, California. And my mother truly shaped me. She shaped me to have big dreams, despite, and you mentioned it, domestic violence, all kind of stuff that was happening in our neighborhood, in our household. She just gave me 4 words to live by: dream, focus, pray, and act. And so I had big dreams. She shaped me. I ended up doing well in school. I had 3 teachers and a principal really embraced me. So I love educators and kind of the homeland security role that they play in this country to really shape the future. They wrapped their arms around me. I got a full ride scholarship to the University of California at Berkeley. And the rest is history. The rest is history. 36 years at AT&T after that.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I'm going to roll back a little bit and tell me what sports influenced your life. You were a cheerleader. Am I right?
Yes, I was the head cheerleader. I'm trying to make sure all my stuff is off over here. So I was the head cheerleader in high school. But prior to that, I ran track for 10 years. From about the age of 7 to 17, I ran for the Richmond Half Steppers. And so we competed, Junior Olympics, all that. And it really actually shaped me, taught me discipline, teamwork, conditioning. I'll never forget how our coach used to have us put on ankle weights in the summer and run these hills to get ready for the season. And we used to complain about those ankle weights. And he used to tell us, sometimes you have to carry, a load, and sometimes it's heavy, but you just keep working at it. And when you take them off, you can fly. I mean, that's what he used to tell us. And he was right, though. And it's amazing how true that is just in life. Okay, that sometimes you carry these loads, but eventually it equips you to really be able to carry some bigger things and compete. So it just shaped me to learn how to really be a great competitor and how to focus on getting things done.
And I imagine also working with a team. It just seems so many people we speak to in this series had sports played a huge role in their lives early on, and it really does shape the person you become and the business person or athlete or whatever you become. It's
exactly, you learn things. You learn teamwork and discipline and preparation and how to win and lose graciously. You learn all that playing sports. All my kids played sports. You learn great life lessons.
So how did you get into AT&T? What made you decide to go there, and what were you doing there?
I love that question. I don't talk about this often. I had 13 job offers coming out of college. So
wow.
Day, right? So I had 13 job offers. And Lisa, I had two criteria. I said, and I was 21 years old. I said, I want the one that pays me the most money because of course I had this dream to help my mom get out of projects. I said, I want the one that pays the most money and the one who will let me be a supervisor. I want to be the boss at 21 years old. Okay. And so just two small things. Pay me the most money. Let me be the boss. And so I ended up coming in to work for AT&T. It was Pacific Bell, a division of AT&T, in a fast track management program, supervising operators. So supervising these operators. I had the night shift and I was 21 years old. And it was primarily women, primarily older women who worked these 6-hour shifts. They taught me, and along with the union representatives, just about everything I know about leadership right now. It was an amazing experience. And they paid me $16,800. So they beat out another company who actually gave me my full scholarship. They beat them out by $600. Wow. But it was a fabulous experience.
So what kind of leadership, I mean, this is going back a bit, but tell me what kind of leadership advice did you get from these operators or support or tips?
I walked in at 21 years old and told them, I don't know anything about this, which of course that was not a newsflash to them. They knew I didn't know anything. But I told them I knew people and I was taught to love people and to take care of people. And so I wanted to just get to know them, know, who they were, what they were about and what they wanted, especially in that stage of life. And I was there to help deliver it. And so I practiced 3 main things around leadership right now. In order to be an effective leader, I think I need to be able to listen to the people, learn from the people, and genuinely love the people. And that's what I did at 21 years old. These people embraced me, taught me everything I needed to know about the environment, had me take some bold steps on some things they wanted to change. And we were very, very successful. But it really came down to those 3 L's.
And were you working on the HR side of things back then, or how did you make that transition into heading up human resources plus getting involved in DEI, which we now call DEI, but back then it was not?
Right. Okay. So most of my career was in, operations, supervising people, big operations, environments. I had people, I actually went to pole climbing school because I wanted to know kind of what all the folks did. So I was in technical and non-technical roles, regulatory, et cetera. And so I did one stint as a recruiter for the network engineering department. But by the time I climbed up the ranks to officer and I left San Francisco, went and headed up our North Carolina operation, I ended up getting a call asking me to move to Dallas because we had gone through so many mergers. I was, 30 years in, and they wanted a group of people to help bring all these subcultures together and help really lay out a people strategy for our company. And I only had that one stint in HR years ago, but they said they wanted somebody who had a proven record of success. And I think that's one lesson about leadership. So much of it is transferable to other areas, other industries, et cetera. And so I ended up being one of our leaders in HR, Senior Vice President of Human Resources. And then 2 years into that, they added the Chief Diversity role to an already big job. It worked out great. It worked out great. Some thought it was just too much, asking me to do 2 jobs. I had great teams, and then we could control it all. We could really drive the whole people strategy, really push an agenda for women, for people of color, really we touched all the people stuff in the company. So it worked out great having all those folks around my table to help drive that agenda.
Well, and you were pretty ahead of the curve doing that. I mean, a lot of these roles are being configured in the last 2 years or so. So that's pretty amazing. And I guess your work got in front of you because Mark Cuban, head of the Dallas Mavericks, came calling. How did he even know, were you headhunted? How did he know what you were doing over at AT&T and to think about taking you from AT&T and putting you in the middle of an NBA team? That was not in a good place. I want to hear about this.
Okay, so there was a little 10-month stretch where I had actually retired in May of 2017. So after 36 years, I retired. I had started my own consulting company. I was supposed to actually take a year off, but the chairman
you didn't do it.
The chairman of the Dow Chemical Company, Lisa, asked me if I could come. We were already doing some work with him. He said, it's great you're retired. Not going to have you full time, because he was starting on his own culture transformation journey. And I told him, you name a great chief diversity officer, and I'm all in to help you drive this agenda, because I'm all about that, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were on a roll. I mean, we were getting it all set up, and it was very successful. And I got a call from Mark Cuban, who unfortunately, don't judge me, Lisa, I didn't know him at the time, okay? And that's okay. I said, I didn't know him, he didn't know him, okay? So it wasn't like he was calling a friend to come help him out. He heard about me, I assume, from the leaders at AT&T and some other places, and asked me if I could come and meet with him. And I told him, well, I had a mammogram scheduled, ladies, always take care of your medical
PSA.
Always take care of your medical business. And so then I went and saw him, and he was so sincere in his request, basically to come in and create a great place to work. I had worked on AT&T's effort, and right before I retired, our work led to us making Fortune's Great Place to Work list for the first time ever. We also made Diversity Inc. Top 50 list. We made the Workforce 100. So we were doing a lot of stuff to just really make it a great place to work. He wanted that same kind of thing to happen at the Mavs, because he was genuinely concerned about what was being uncovered and what was going on. But he's not the person that convinced me. 2 women stopped me as I was leaving his office after an almost hour conversation and asked me if I would join the team. And they started telling me their stories and telling me why they needed me at the Mavs. I went home and prayed about it. I said, I got to do this for the sisterhood. The brothers will benefit too. But I just felt compelled to do it based on what he said, based on what they asked me to do. And frankly, based on, the fact that for some reason I was uniquely qualified to come in and do that.
That's pretty amazing. And were you at all, when you came in, I mean, Sports Illustrated had written a whole article talking about what was going on at the Mavs, and probably not just there. I'm sure at the time there was a lot of, troubles, different kinds of trouble, hostile work environment at other teams. But what was that like on your first day coming in? That must have been, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You tell me.
Well, it was a tad unbelievable, because when I came in the next day, to basically tell Mark I had decided to do it. I was in the building for 3 hours before he even knew I was there, because people grabbed me as I walked in, took me into a conference room, and they just start filing in one after the other, just telling me about their experiences and giving me different stories. And when he finally found out I was there, he said, I guess this means you're a yes. I'm like, yes, I'm definitely a yes. And so it was very clear to me that we needed to just set out kind of a vision on being diverse and inclusive and establishing a great place to work. We needed a set of values. And so we put those values in place. It was clear to me that we needed an agenda for women, because there were no women in permanent leadership positions around the table. And so I brought some in, we promoted some people. We have great people at the Dallas Mavericks. We had great people when I walked in the door. We needed some leadership changes. We needed to purge some things, and we did. And so we laid out an agenda based on vision, values, and a 100-day plan that focused on modeling zero tolerance, an agenda for women, cultural transformation, and operational effectiveness. Things like gender pay equity and that kind of stuff. And so we just had about 200 initiatives, and everybody rallied around. We had these big poster boards, Lisa, where all the areas were, up there. We would just check it off one by one as we started to make changes. Wow. And I met with each employee one-on-one, every single employee, to just get to know them. And you'll appreciate this. So I'd say, I'd always start with the same thing. I said, tell me your story. Tell me your story. Mm-hmm. And undoubtedly they'd say, oh, this is my 5th season at the Mavs. This is my 10th season at the Mavs. And I'd say, were you born here? Were you born here? I mean, so just like you started, I wanted to know the story. Like, who are these people?
Right.
I serve these people. And they're not employees. These are people who get up out of bed in the morning.
Right.
I got to serve that person who gets up out of bed in the morning. They just so happen to walk into our doors. So I got to really know them and truly fell in love with them. And then I would close my one-on-ones with the same statement. I said, tell me where you see yourself 5 years from now, professionally and personally, because then it gave me a sense for who was in there. And I remember pulling in my chief ethics officer, my chief human resources officer, who I brought in with me. And I was just crying one night. I told them, I said, I love these people. Like, I love them.
Wow.
They came here. These people deserve to have a great place to work. Some of these people are sports management majors. I had never even heard of that. They mean to have a great career in sports. We got to give them a great place to work. And we know what that looks like. I said, are you all in? They said, yes. I said, let's get busy.
Amazing.
And we got busy. I have a leadership team that's 50% women and 50% people of color. We put our agenda together, a robust diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. And we got busy. And it's pretty good now.
So how many people did you actually speak to roughly when you were doing this?
It was about 120 at the time.
Wow.
120 people at the time.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, well, you just have, and then we did that in 90 days. We just laid out a plan that just said, I have to talk to everybody within 90 days. And it was a small enough group where I could do that. I mean, I've led groups of tens of thousands where you can't, but it was a small enough group where I could actually do that. And that was really impressive. Helpful. I got a lot of insight.
And what were some of the challenges in getting some of these values pushed through? I mean, where were you finding obstacles, and how did you overcome them?
I think now, and there were obstacles. I think that the biggest challenge was trying to institutionalize a new culture, a values-based culture, a culture that said every voice matters and everybody belongs in all aspects, pay, all that, promotions, etc. So trying to instill that culture, but also trying to purge the old culture. I had one guy who told his team not to listen to me, and I noticed they weren't responding a lot. And then one of them, they were very honest. They said, well, our boss says you'll be gone in 90 days. You don't know basketball, you don't know sports, and basically we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Well, when my boss, Mark Cuban, made the decision, okay?
Yeah.
I get a lot of credit for making history. Mark Cuban wasn't even trying to make history. He was trying to make a difference for his people. And he asked me to do this job because he wanted to create a great place to work. And we were on a mission and we were serious. And we had to let these people know we were serious. So those of you who don't want to listen or who don't want to buy into the culture, that's going to be an issue and you won't be here. And so we have to make a few exits.
It sounds like you have a book in you. Is that something in the future you may decide to do?
Well, I am writing a book and it's going to come out in November, but it's going to be about my cancer journey. Okay. It's going to be a book that the name of it is going to be You've Been Chosen. It's going to talk about just kind of what got me to the point where I could actually go through my cancer battle and how I got through it with the help of a lot of people. But it's going to tell a few stories. And then the big book that we'll talk about my actual career and all that will probably be called Rebound. And that'll probably come out in a couple of years.
I love that. And I can't wait for the movie too. I bet there will be one.
Okay, I want you in the movie. We need clips of this interview in the movie.
Done.
And I want to play me and you can play you.
Speak to my agent. No, I'm kidding. All right. So we just have a little bit of time left, but we could keep going. But I do want to ask you your thoughts about women in sports, both on the field, off the field. Where do you see it now? Where do you see it going?
Okay, so I was going to say I don't have a crystal ball, but I actually do. But I actually do keep a crystal ball right here with me. But that's to help me set my priorities. The stuff that's crystal that I can't drop, and the stuff that's rubber.
Don't drop anything.
That's exactly right. Okay, but you know what I've been thinking about a lot is ownership. And I've been thinking about the fact that Kathy Engelbert, who is the commissioner of the WNBA, she's an amazing woman, just led a capital campaign of $75 million. And so now the WNBA is worth $1 billion. Okay. Now, some would say that's nothing compared to the NBA, but that's a lot. That's a big thing that just happened. And so it's made me think a lot about ownership and how we need to really start collaborating more. And we need to not just have a seat at the table, but we need to own the table, build the table, build the chairs around the table, and not folding chairs, but permanent chairs where women are running things. And so I think we are headed there. Another thing I think is that we are using our platform more. And so when you look at what the WNBA is doing, I think others will do the same to really use our platform on social justice issues. And frankly, I have a passion for children. I'd like to see us use our platform as women to save the children in this country. And then I don't know what other sport is going to end up turning into like the WNBA. I think that's up to us. to kind of decide what's going to be the next WNBA. We get to decide that, and we'll have another one in the next couple of years. So we got to collaborate on that. But when we get it, we need to own some of the teams.
All right.
I'm all about that now.
I love that. And so what's next for the Mavs? What are we going to see coming up?
Well, at some point, you're going to see another championship. Okay, we're just not going to leave it to 2011. So, of course, we have some amazing players. So you're going to see another championship. You're going to really see us taking an even greater role around promoting social justice. We are very focused on the platform that we have. And so we have this theme called Listen, Learn, Unite in our Mavs Take Action Plan of over 50 initiatives to promote racial equality, social justice, et cetera. So you're going to see us doing a lot more around that, and a lot more collaboration with Pro Sport Assembly, Women in Sports and Events. I mean, other organizations, Adweek, to really just drive not just the message, but action around equity, equality, and inclusion. We have moved, diversity, we get that, but we want to create some true equity and inclusive environments for people. So you're going to see us really take a stand and be even louder around that.
Okay. One last question before we go to our takeaways. What is the picture behind you, the thank you sign?
Oh, this thank you sign says, thank you, healthcare workers and first responders, because it's amazing what they've been doing for the past, 22 months or so to respond to the pandemic. And so we like to thank them every chance we get. I was with some of the folks from one of our hospitals last night at our game, just saying thank you. They are on the front lines every day, saving lives, literally saving lives.
Yeah.
And we can't thank them enough for the sacrifices they've made. They've been away from their families. They've made personal health sacrifices. And so the Mavs are real big on saying thank you to all of them.
Love that. And yes, we agree here at Adweek. They've done an incredible job. And we actually celebrated them with a number of leagues, including the NBA, with Real Heroes Project, but almost 2 years ago. Hope to bring that back somehow.
I remember that.
It was pretty awesome. All right. Well, we could keep going, but I do realize you have a team to lead right now. So let's go to your takeaways.
Okay.
And take it away.
Okay. So my 3 L's of leadership is listen to, learn from, and love the people. It's just that simple. And love them as people, not as employees. Take the time to listen, to really understand what they're saying, not just to hear them, but really understand where they're coming from. Learn from them. Our people have a lot to teach us, and then truly love them. Hasu, that's a big one. Hook a sister up. We have to ask for help. We have to be able to pick up the phone, and I need to call Lisa and say, Lisa, this is a Hasu moment. And when I say that, it's like the answer cannot be no, Lisa. It's a Hasu moment. You got to hook a sister up. I need something from you. We need to be there for each other. Okay, the third one, it's okay to cry. Sometimes they said, oh, it shows weakness and all that. It's okay to cry. There are some things going on in our country, some things that go on at work as it relates to how we're treated sometimes. It's okay to cry, but then you have to get up and get busy. So what I like to say is cry like a baby, fight like a girl, change the world like a woman. You can cry, but then you got to fight, and then we got to make things better. And then the last one is we really do. I have learned this in my life, being a cancer survivor and just all kind of stuff. You have to accept the fact that sometimes the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. Sometimes there's something coming to run you over, but then you have to get up. You realize bad things do happen to good people, but you get up, you get help, and then you get going. So that's it. Don't run from it. Respond.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That was so inspiring. This whole conversation was, and we hope we can have you back somehow, someday, doing something with us real soon, actually.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you all from in the audience joining us. We're going to be pausing on February 23rd episode for Adweek's Challenger Brand Summit. Hope we'll see you there. And we'll be back for more Powerful Women in Sports on March 2nd with soccer great Carly Lloyd. See you then.